Peace of the Women's Federation. Welcome also to our friends, the husbands and children of the wonderful women present at this event today. The title is The Beauty of the Feminine World, a project of the Italian section of the Women's Federation for World Peace and sponsored by Women's Federation International. I'd also like to thank all our friends who connected from other nations. My name is Maria Gabriella Mieli. For everyone, I'm Gabriella, Vice President of the Women's Federation for World Peace Italy, and also responsible for the sections of Torino in Piedmont. Today, I'll be the moderator of this meeting that will be registered and can be followed also on our Facebook page of the Women's Federation for World Peace Italia. Technical support is offered by the editor of the Voices of Peace, a magazine of ambassadors of peace of both the UPF and Women's Federation. So I'd like to thank Giorgio Gasparino for his very precious support. This project originally should have been done during a weekend in the middle of October in a very beautiful location close to Rome, with moments of interaction, reflection, creativity, guidelines to help us women bring out our femininity and our original dignity, or let's say our internal beauty. But because of the pandemic of COVID-19, it was not possible to meet in person. But we received a lot of encouragement to do this meeting, even online, even with some little changes. Our project, in fact, will be divided in 3 different meetings, as you could see from our invitation. So this will be our first meeting, titled The Value of Femininity, from the origin until today. And at what point are we today? Before passing the word to our speakers, I'd like to introduce and say something about our organization. The Women's Federation started in 1992 in Seoul, Korea, and was founded by a couple, Dr. Sun Myung Moon and his wife, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. In 1997, the Women's Federation was granted general consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and is present in 160 nations of the world. Our vision is about women who work together to create a global family of peace. Our mission is also to help and encourage women to become peace builders and guide in their family, and to transform the community, the nation, and the world through education, partnership, reconciliation, and humanitarian services. The Women's Federation would like to create an environment of peace and well-being for the future generations and the people of all races, culture, and religious beliefs. Okay, so let's now go to our meeting. I'd like to remind those present here today that for those who cannot speak Italian, it will be possible to follow this event in English, thanks to the translation that will be offered. And you just need to click on the globe on the bottom of your screen. You can click on the English flag and follow the translation in English. At the end of when the speakers are finished, you will be able to ask questions. And for people who are from other nations, you can ask your questions by writing it on the chat. For those who are participating for Italy instead, you can ask your questions directly. As we have limited time, it might not be possible to answer all questions. So the speakers would be willing to answer your questions directly if you can send these questions to the chat using our email. There will be a small surprise at the end, so we would like to invite you to remain with us and to participate until the end. The first speaker is Elisabetta Nistri, who is the president of the Italian section of the Women's Federation. She started this role in 2012 and works in many different areas, and is also responsible for coordinating the South European section of the Women's Federation. She's very much involved in different themes. She's very active in women she's a speaker on feminine topics, children's education, violence on women and children, human rights, and reconciliation. I'd like now to pass the word to Elisabetta Nistri. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for participating today, to be so many. I can see some friends. I can see also the participation of some men at this meeting, and I'm very happy to see them. And I'd like also to thank my husband for being present here with me today. I know in Bergamo, Franco is also supporting Giannina, his wife. I'd like to thank everyone. Also the various presidents of the Women's Federation in European nations. I'd just like to ask a question about the translation, if you can hear well. So I just closed the microphone of the translator. Okay, Lorna, can you try? Let's see if it works.
Potete sentirvi lo stesso in questo modo con la traduzione? Come avete sentito questo?
Originally, this meeting should have been done in a 2-day seminar at a beautiful villa in Tivoli, Rome. And we really wanted to meet together directly and to share 2 days together, to dedicate time to ourselves and discuss these topics. But it wasn't possible. We really wanted to have creative moments together. This wasn't possible. So we decided to change and to do a webinar instead. This theme, the beauty of the feminine world, was really liked so much, and so the Women's Federation International decided to co-sponsor, because this meeting is in line with the United Nations objectives for 2030 and are connected especially to the goal number 3 of health and well-being and number 5, gender equality. This is also the goal of the Women's Federation, to help women understand their value and potential, and to obtain recognition to their rights in collaboration with men, to realize a world of peace. This might seem quite a big objective, very far away and not so easy, and maybe it can sound utopistic, but actually it's not so far away, because peace starts from inside of us. So with our hard work, our daily hard work, and our search for harmony and solutions for our difficulties and internal conflicts, to create a harmonious relationship with others, we contribute to create our own joy, but also to the realization of a greater peace, world peace. I am happy about the topic today that we choose, and that we can stop for a moment about talking from COVID-19, which was also the topic that we spoke about in our last events in April. We have the possibility now of discussing a topic that will take us back in time, maybe a long time ago, and to ask ourselves where the female characteristics that we incarnate actually come from. With Dr. Gibi, we will study briefly the matriarchal society that very much reflected our feminine nature. And most of all, where does our feminine nature come from? In most widely read book, the Bible, it's written that in Genesis that God made us in His image male and female. Therefore, the origin of our femininity is in God, our supreme being. It's our original cause. He's our creator. He's the original cause. And we should then reflect his feminine nature. As men too should reflect male and masculine nature. God is our father and mother, and we are his children, his original image. At least this is how it should have been. But inside of us, each one of us has a spark, God's spark in us. We have his code impressed or stamped inside of us. And it would be a pity not to try to discover it, to access this potential and develop this great potential that was given to us. So during our life, we should take the advantage to develop this beautiful original nature that we were given. Dr. Moon created the Women's Federation with the desire that every woman can become aware of her important role and that she can take up this role today. In her autobiography, Mother of Peace, that is on Amazon, I like to read a few phrases. The woman helps the complete man. In a couple's relationship, the wife helps the husband to become more mature, more complete. More perfect. It's a very vague term. But in the same way, in a world in which women remain in silence can never give birth to a civilization of justice and peace. Mrs. Moon said, I've always been saddened by the reality of the world in which women very often are not recognized by men or society. Yeah. It is time for women to rise above the popular trend of trying to improve their status by imitating men. This only casts the relationship between men and women as one of competition in a culture that ignores their God-given and God-incarnating uniqueness. Sometimes women found themselves obliged. It's like a situation in which some women, in order to be recognized, had to push themselves to imitate men. These rights should be recognized naturally. God designed men and women for a relationship in which each gives their divine and unique nature to the other, and each receives the other divine and unique gifts with true awareness and love. Women and men are not just assistants anymore. Then men are women's assistants. We are all independent beings, and through the true man-woman relationship, each perfects the other and becomes one with the other. This experience, of course, is something maybe we can have more in a couple's relationship. But in any case, in society, partnership between men and women have always given more results. Especially anything that concerns the well-being of society or in every area of life. I'd like to conclude and to speak about two important moments. On the 17th of September, I was invited to speak at a conference on the theme The Role of Women in the World, organized by Dr. Maria Gabriella, and it was organized by University of Peace in Rome, University of Sapienza, that this doctor was really interested in collecting data about the situation of women in collaboration with embassies, about the situation of women in Italy, their access to education, their possibility to reach a position of leadership, also in work environment, to understand the situation of women in Italy in general, also foreign women living in Italy. This project was already started, and the Women's Federation will collaborate with the embassies. I was very happy to speak on that occasion and explain about our work and about a project that we have with First Ladies for Peace. The next important appointment will be on the 5th of October, in which I will speak. We will collaborate to promote an event online which speaks about women of faith, diverse spiritualities from a female perspective, and it was organized together with Senator Valeria Fedeli and also with Raffaele Di Marzo, and different groups will be participating, like the Union of Hindus, Pentecostal Evangelical Churches, the Islamic World, the Religious Observer of Violence Against Women in Religious Environment, Progressive Women for Jewish Federation. It's a very important conference because we will also discuss violence on women in a religious environment. Yeah? I'd like to conclude by saying that since the death of Dr. Sun Myung Moon, Mrs. Moon has taken the lead in all the peace organizations they founded together and is investing herself completely in helping people to become aware of their divine value and the importance of taking responsibility to resolve the many urgent problems facing the world today. Problems that can only be resolved with the collaboration of all, from government leaders to every single person. In February, just before the beginning of the pandemic, a summit for peace was held in Korea with the participation of more than 7,000 people from every part of the world, including scientists, heads of state, politicians, academians, journalists, and women leaders. This was just before the pandemic started. Now there will be a similar event on the 27th of September, the Rally of Hope, with direct connection to Korea and direct streaming. And in the afternoon at 4 p.m. there will be an event that you can follow on our Facebook. And many European leaders will be participating. This Rally of Hope is called Rally of Hope because Mrs. Moon would like to collaborate with leaders of every area, helping them to work together for peace. So, okay, we can return to our meeting. And I hope that you would be able to appreciate these moments with Dr. Gibi, and I would like to thank her very much for her precious collaboration. So let us develop together with our strength, our best points, and become true activists for peace. I'd like now to pass the word back to Gabriella Mieli. Thank you, President Nistri, for your very passionate speech. I'd like to remind you to ask questions from outside of Italy in our chat, and for those who are in Italy, you can ask your questions directly. Okay. I'd like now to pass the word for the main speaker today, Dr. Gibi. She's a psychologist, psychotherapist. She takes care of psychosomatic problems, hypnosis therapy, and family therapy. She's Ambassador of Peace of the Women's Federation for World Peace and has been collaborating with us through our section in Bergamo. Okay, I'd like to pass the word to Dr. Gibi. Okay, today we will talk about the feminine world and to try to understand how the feminine world began. It all started with the idea of the archetype female, which is the image itself of the woman, the essence of the woman, considered intuition that comes before thought itself. This archetype speaks of a woman who has fecundity, hospitality, sweetness, patience. When we hear these words, we think about a mother with her children. All of this hospitality, sweetness, and patience is something she feels. And she feels for everyone that surrounds her. That she can love and slowly, slowly, for all those people she meets and for all living things. But this is not enough. Because a woman carries in herself her personal growth, comprehension, compassion, passion. She understands the experience of others. A woman has in her nature altruism and courage. The archetype speaks of women as having wonderful values, all with great potential to grow and develop. So we are very lucky because each one of us can develop these qualities in ourselves, inside of us and outside, in our behavior, in our thoughts, in our actions, and in our daily existence. There are images that are the symbol of femininity, and they're very interesting and express femininity from another point of view. For example, Mother Earth, that helps everything to grow, vegetables and everything else. This is our symbol of femininity. Then there is the Virgin. Maybe nobody knows, but the word virgin actually means not dominated. So we have inside of us a virgin mind, and we should always keep it with us for always. We must always be able to think for ourselves, express our ideas, our determination, our ability to change. We should always have a virgin mind. This is our strength. The other symbol is the sea. Because seawater has the same composition of amniotic fluid during pregnancy. So the sea represents a mother carrying her child in her womb. This sea has salt water or amniotic fluid that gives well-being and gives food like fishes to eat, and has a purifying function. And is so important. And symbiotic. Many people say they feel so well while they are in the seawater. It's like being again in the womb. I would also like to speak about the moon as a symbol. The moon, like us, we have cycles that represent living and change. And the moon is with us. The moon has its cycles and is very strongly influences the tides. The moon also influences parties or festivals. There are many festivals when full moon arrives. So we are in contact with the lunar phases. This explains how much we belong to nature and nature to us. These are the first images or symbols that make up the nature of the female. Do you see how much beauty and sweetness there is in our nature? It's not good to be Amazons. It's better to continue with our feminine nature. It's our strength and our sweetness. The most beautiful part of us is when we have to protect ourselves during a conflict. The best weapon and most powerful is always sweetness. We can always make it if we don't use male weapons. A woman in her cycles and bond with nature has always been seen as a reincarnation of the rhythms of nature and be seen as a creative force, generating force, and was very much loved and respected. Until women were considered as someone who has a silver cord connecting herself with the subconscious. And she was considered the perfect mediator between heaven and earth, and everything went well when woman was considered this way. This was a matriarchal society in which there was peace, joy, and harmony and well-being, and there was no desire to possess and create wars. At a certain point, this society was defeated, and it was substituted by the patriarchal society. For millenniums, we know this from history. What did this bring? Wars and possession. And during this time, the idea came that males predominate, that they are superior and strong. Prejudices started about women. The idea of female importance changed. That this idea that women were weak, inferior, and in some periods she was a sinner. If men had sexual desires, it was the woman's fault just because she existed. In the dark periods, women were considered without a soul. Okay, let's talk about anima, but not from a religious point of view. Let's talk about anima in another way. Let's go back and let us consider from another point of view. Maybe many of you have heard about the philosopher Carl Gustav Jung. He presented two different aspects or approaches, anima and animus. What are they? Anima is the female concept or female principle. So it is the nature of the woman, the essence of the woman. She doesn't have to search for it. It's part of her. It is her ability to live through eros, or love for others, or creative ability, intuition. Many women are scared of their intuition, but it is our nature, our receptiveness. Anima is love for self and for others, love for all living things and for nature. All of this is anima. Also, some aspects that confuse us. For example, our emotionality, irrationality. But we need this. We need something that makes us sacrifice so we can grow. Too much emotionality is not good. But if we are not emotional, and means we do not feel, irrationality can be a starting point of creativity. Why not? It's important that we do not exaggerate. And then the feminine also has a bond. It has a bond with the subconscious. So what about animus? It's not second-hand or less important. It's a male principle. It's the logos that dominates thought. Logical thought, rational, objective, critical, sequential, orderly. All parts of animus, masculinity, important and down to earth, where men find their objectives, their value, and their decision-making ability. When we go to school, I'm talking about European schools, all of the logos values are emphasized. All the values of animus. So the females learn to have animus in themselves, inside themselves. All of these abilities are requested: logic, rationality, etc. All that we explained until now. So we develop them and complete our personality with our femininity and masculinity that slowly we acquire and can help us develop ourselves. Also for masculinity, it's interesting. They already have animus in their identity. And in school, there is more importance to animus. So this ability to be orderly, to be complete. But in the family and in school, the development of the male aspect. All the wonderful males who try to develop their anima are wonderful to meet, because they have to do everything by themselves without any help. The completion of the individual is more anima with a little animus for the female, and more animus with a little anima for the male. Because anima gives to the animus the possibility to establish loving relationships romantically. That is what we all hope for when we meet a man. Animus instead gives to the female conscience the ability to reflect, to make decisions, to be self-aware. We need both aspects, but with different amounts of importance. The risk is, though, that females identify themselves too much with animus and want to have power like men, have competition and dominion, and to have more space by using others. Sometimes undervaluing others, and they see men as adversaries. Think of women who want to rise to power, who are aggressive. They use psychological violence. Women use this when they are too animus and too little anima. So denying and undervaluing one's femininity and values, we lose our true nature and we lose ourselves. So what can we do? We can choose. We have to choose. Let's choose those qualities of animus that are important, that we really need. So people don't say that they cannot trust us, that we are too rational, we forget things, we are too much spaced out, or our heads in the clouds. Let's take out these things and see what qualities of animus can complete us. For example, rationality, a sense of pride and internal strength. These complete sensitivity, emotionality. They help us to put our emotions and our heart practically in our everyday activities. Yeah. It helps us to put our heart in our everyday activities. When animus expresses assertiveness, ability to express ideas and projects very clearly, we need this. They help us in this. Also, when we use our emotions to express ourselves and we don't lose ourselves, these are signs of integration with animus and brings a great self-awareness. We make our interests become a reality and we develop self-esteem. If we become like this, what are we doing with ourselves? We are making a person or becoming a person with our own identity, a clear identity, good self-affirmation, and courage to become the protagonists of our own life. So we don't need to complain. It's always other people's faults or other situations. We can make it. We can make it with our own effort and courage in our life. With our femininity, our sensitivity, the fact that we are curious and creative, but we should not mortify our inborn nature. So sometimes we will be emotional, altruistic, hospitable, empathic, and delicate, and tender. This kindness and delicacy. Because we will feel confident of who we are. We wouldn't need to attach ourselves to others too much, asking for help and complain. This maybe is an ugly part of our feminine nature. We won't need to attack others. Because women, we know how to be aggressive verbally. Yeah? It is much more beautiful to be kind with others instead of being impertinent. Much more beautiful. Until now, I presented a mature and adult woman at peace with herself, a wonderful woman that we will all like to be. Why not? This woman is evoluted and balanced. But now I would like to talk specifically about younger women. Even though some of them are, like I explained before, mature, I am very worried about young women who have other types of values. For example, they have a very physical model. There are many young women between 20 and 30 years old, or even before, who have a very physical ideal, a physical importance of physical appearance, a desire to attract attention, to become an object of pleasure for others. It's very dangerous. And also the role in society where it's expected that women have a total control of their body, their physical appearance. It's terrible if you are not perfect. But the imperfections that we have are those wonderful little parts of us that distinguish us from others. People recognize us for them. But no, this idea of always checking the body, that everyone would look at us, the search for a physical ideal, that isn't possible. More they search for this, more they become like little dolls without a spirit. These girls are very vulnerable. They are very emotional, always anxious, like asking themselves, am I more beautiful than my friend? Maybe just a little more beautiful. Once I met a group of young girls and I stopped to look at them. They were not wearing masks. They were very beautiful. and very well made up, with an attitude that was saying, look at me, just look at me. They were not relaxed and were all concentrated on looking to see who was watching them. They were so beautiful and they all looked the same, without a personality of their own to distinguish them. Should we make comments about their physical body? Males for sure would make comments. Yeah. They had very infantile conversation, very hysterical attitudes, concentrated on their makeup. Yeah. Just to go back a little, in my job, I meet parents with children of girls about 20 years old that they have become really difficult to manage in the family because they are very rude. They have high expectations from the family. They want too much. And they complain about their family, about their friends or their partner. For them, nobody does enough for them. These beautiful, soulless women expect everything from the world, too much. They are very self-centered, with extreme desires, and very capricious. They are very fragile and insecure. They shout, they cry, with a very erratic self-esteem, and cause so much worry to their parents. But it's very difficult to advise them. It's difficult to find a way to advise them about how to grow. Many parents come to me, and it's very difficult to help them. These young women have everything in life. They have everything in life, but they are so discontented. And this erratic self-esteem that they have, that maybe one day they feel like the most beautiful in the kingdom, and the next day they would maybe close themselves in their room and don't want to go anywhere because maybe they have a slightly swollen tummy. For them it's a tragedy, and they feel terrible. And the friendships of these beautiful girls that look only at external things are very insecure. We call them usable friendships. Usable love is like that of a newborn baby who depends on his mother and loves his mother because she has his milk. And he has difficulty with his mother when the milk finishes. But the baby grows and learns. The baby may be possessive to the mother in the beginning, but they learn and they grow. They learn to experience altruistic love. But these girls, they use their friendships. It seems that they love you, but then they can use you. And they use each other. But they don't trust each other because they don't know for how long the friend will love them. Yeah. It's really difficult to develop feelings that are calm and confident and serene. It's difficult to find peace in their hearts. These girls, they need our help to find real values, to have good experiences, and stable and good emotional experiences, so that they are not so always extreme that they cry, because these experiences do not help them to grow. They need to grow, so we must give them a hand and help them to understand that when they find the beauty of the heart, then they will be happy. Just look at us. We all grow old. And if you have a photo of ourselves 20 years ago, we were different. But we are not worrying so much. There's another problem, even in society. Even society creates these false relationships based on external beauty. Think of publicity. Publicity is a sexist world. Women of about 20 or 30 years of age who are presented as some kind of with sexual objectification of their body. They say, they look so stupid, saying like, oh, my deodorant, I will not share with anyone. Like as if the supermarkets are not full of these deodorants. Or maybe to publicize some spray for the sink. They make us look so silly. But this is not only in publicity. Think of the gender ratio or pink quotas. They created pink quotas as if saying, okay, let's give a hand to the minority. We thought it was something great, that it was an opportunity for women to use her intuition, her creativity, her capacity, her strength in the world of politics. But once we have this position or a part of the quota rosa, they look to see how well we are dressed, how we are made up, if our hair is perfect. And then they present us always as if we are not well educated, well prepared, as if we are not good enough for politics, as if we are intellectually of a low level, or that we are even immoral. But men in politics, don't they make mistakes too? They undervalue women. We would have liked to enter into politics, but they think, okay, you are beautiful, but not good enough in politics. They are so women have to be really careful of their mistakes, of any of the mistakes that we make, especially in some political points. Last point I would like to talk about is about the work environment. In work environment, especially women who are employed by others, because entrepreneur women are more free to express themselves. They are much more free to be themselves and to demonstrate their ability. But if instead we are in a situation that we work for others, they ask us not to think. They ask us to do what they want. So very often we don't have independence. We don't have the ability to decide or to work independently. There was a situation in Turin of a secretary that her computer was taken away by her boss. Her office was closed, and she was controlled by her male colleagues. They controlled who she was calling, what she was doing. A male colleague would never have experienced this. So we still experience these situations. They are not the majority, but they exist. Yeah? So we have to be careful, because women are vulnerable. And many times we are afraid of losing our jobs or our career. Because women need approbation. Women need to feel that people need her. This is we need constant, we really feel we need constant approbation. But this makes us end up in passive situations where we accept to do anything. We work more than our male colleagues. We serve the coffee. We do things that the male workers will never do because they are boring. It's as if it's all expected from us without even a thank you. We can see in the qualities of the archetype woman that the woman is courageous. Until about 100 years ago, many women died of childbirth, but women never stopped giving birth, even though they risked their lives. Yes. We are courageous inside, and we shouldn't undervalue ourselves. We shouldn't be afraid. With kindness and sweetness, we should say what we have to say, and that our dignity is important. And even our arrogant bosses should respect us. They have to learn to respect us. Now, after all these sad discussions, okay, we can try to improve the atmosphere. Let's talk about something else. So after this little bit of sadness, I'd like to talk more about love for oneself, or self-respect. The first thing is that we must love ourselves. The many obstacles that we feel inside of us, or that we experience in our life, and we say that because of these things we cannot love ourselves enough. But these are things that are inside of us. What blocks us from loving ourselves? Our fears, our beliefs, preconceived notions. But we listen to these. So we can decide from today, not tomorrow. Because those who say tomorrow, they never start. From today, we decide to give the best version of ourselves, each with their own ability and possibilities. Behind every problem or situation or conflict, we should also think about ourselves, our psychological and physical health. Find a way to solve our problems that can help us feel well and help others feel well. If I am well, then others will come to me for help. First, I must be well. I must be in harmony with my mind and my body, my heart and my brain. So we will do good to ourselves, even without realizing it. And we will also do good to others. Who loves others never forgets oneself. We must not always just give all of our energy to others and then complain and we disappoint ourselves and say we cannot make it. No, we can't. I mustn't forget myself and others. I must make sure that my vital energy is very well distributed. Make sure I am full of energy. Because only if I am well and full of energy, happy with myself, and the situation that I have around me, then I can help others. There is an Italian verb that says, accontentarsi is the word, but I think this word isn't well understood. Sometimes some people say, oh, I must be content, I must accept and be grateful. Actually, the real meaning of this verb is to make myself content, make myself happy with what I have. and not desire what I cannot have. It's a, my desires can become a reality. This is what this verb really means. It's a beautiful verb to remember because it makes us happy with what we have. And we should desire slowly other things, a little at a time. What I cannot really have, I shouldn't be interested in. In the past, I wanted to live in the castle in Milano, but I can't have it. So it remains a dream. And but it's okay. I'm not angry about it. So we shouldn't be angry about these things. Yeah? So we have to make ourselves happy. Another important point is responsibility. Because when we learn to resolve our problems, we feel satisfied. And we are very content and happy. For example, when we make a decision, we take responsibility, we resolve the problems, then I feel I'm a great woman. This is what we can say to ourselves every day, even for small things. We've already understood this evening that it's not others who must make us happy. We make ourselves happy. We can improve our abilities. We can become mature. We can become wiser. And others will be happy with us. We will attract others with this positive and beautiful energy, and they will want to stay with us because they feel well. But we have mental blocks in us. For example, because we have to throw these away in the bin and not repeat them. For example, I have no time for myself, or if I only had more money, or it's destiny, I can't do anything about it. I think I'm too selfish to be doing so much for myself. If I use time for myself, then I will not have enough time for others, or others will criticize me. Let's throw these away, because love for oneself is the root of a true generosity. Okay, so now I think there's a little surprise for us. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Gibi, for this incredible presentation. See from a historical perspective to a present-day perspective regarding us as women. And it's also something intergenerational, and it's very important. Yeah? There are many things to reflect about. And so we've now come to the moment of questions. So if there is anyone who will listen, who would like to ask questions, the time is open for asking questions. Please raise your hands if you would like to ask questions. If someone would like to ask Dr. Gibi or Elisabetta Nistri any questions, I'd like to pass the word to whoever would like to ask something. I think Carlo Zonato would like to ask a question. Please open your microphone. I'm sorry, I'm a man asking a question in a moment dedicated to women, but it came spontaneously to ask about what Dr. Gibi said concerning young women and her request that to help them. I understand that we must help them. It's beautiful what she expressed. But I would like to ask her, can you give us some ideas about how to help? Because many times it seems that there is a wall that we are not able to break or melt. So I would like to ask you, can you explain what we can do to reach their anima? Thank you very much. Actually, we are going a little bit out of theme because we should be speaking about parenthood. And it's important to help these young people before they become adults. Because many mothers come with their children already adults and they are desperate. It's very difficult to work with them. If we really want to help, we have to start before, when they are adolescents. Even if we are out of theme, I'm talking about adolescents, female adolescents, but we can also refer to male adolescents. We shouldn't treat them like just little beauties who shouldn't do anything. We have to teach them to do things for the family, like cooking, ironing. They should feel they are capable and that they are part of the family. They should feel the satisfaction that they are helping the family. They should feel that they've done something for their family. So we teach them to be responsible, of course, depending on their age. We don't need someone to do everything for us, but we should show them how females are creative, able, is part of the family, can learn. They must be attentive to their family and their family attentive to them. There should be this passage from the parents to the child, from the altruism of the parents to the altruism of the child. We should stimulate this part of them. So when they become adults, they will feel confident. They will feel confident in themselves and that they are able to love, they are able to take care of others. Of course, everything depends on their age. But we should give them the base, the possibility to do things. If thoughts and actions don't go, thoughts and actions should go in the same direction. But very often when I have young girls with me, they say, okay, I don't go into the kitchen, I don't wash clothes, I don't iron, I don't help. Because my mom says that she can do it better. So when they feel that the only responsibility they have is to be beautiful in their face and in their body. So, but what are we doing? Okay, are there any other questions? If someone is reflecting, has reflected and needs maybe some clarification based on what we discussed. Don't ask questions all at once. Yeah. Or now or never. I think someone would like to. Maybe we can give them the possibility to ask questions at the beginning of the next webinar so they have enough time to think. Maybe it's a little difficult in this moment to find the right question. Okay, now I see that Monica would like to ask a question. Okay, can you open your microphone, Monica?
Ok, allora prego Monica, se apre il microfono possiamo sentirla.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this beautiful presentation. I would like to ask about the situation of the young woman that was presented, because I've noticed this situation too. And sometimes I remember how I wanted to be so perfect when I was 20 years old. What do you think can be the future of these young women in the family and in society? Because I see this situation with girls, and sometimes girls of 14, 15 years of age.
Anche con ragazze già intorno ai 14-15 anni, proprio un'età quasi inferiore a quella che mi diceva.
Thank you.
Allora, diciamo che
Let's say that this new generation
diciamo che
will have has a late adolescence
hanno questa
and will take
adolescenza
more time to mature compared to the previous generation, to take care of themselves differently, before they can really feel the pleasure in their maturity and responsibility. But we are forgetting about one group of young people that study so hard, they work, they do research, and are doing great things. Yeah? These are exceptional young people, and we hear so little about them. Yeah? For example, they study things like quantum physics and other things. Yeah? Many of them are in the vanguard compared to other researchers in the world. We can be really proud of them. I don't know about their sentimental relationships or work relationships. Instead, for those who are 14 to 15 years old, who are so concentrated on themselves, who want to be the most beautiful Barbie doll, we have slowly to give them time to mature and to realize their female abilities. We shouldn't be too desperate. When I spoke about archetype woman and all the female qualities, all of this potential is something that we are born with. It's there inside of us. Unfortunately, some wait too long and will only find their way through suffering. Suffering in love or by losing their job. Any kind of a suffering. When you wait too much to grow, then you grow suddenly all in one moment through suffering. But let's not judge or undervalue them too much. One of us will be there in the moment of their suffering, and we will give them, maybe say the right word to help guide them to they realize those female qualities, that potential that they have. Maybe even if they will wake up a little late. I remember in a conference, I spoke about a garden. I'd like to share it with you now. Yeah? There was this garden in which there were many plants that slowly blossomed, one after the other. And there was then this one little plant that was always there with the blossoms closed. And the others mocked this plant, saying, "Okay, what are you waiting for? Winter? You don't open in spring, in summer, no." So these little blossoms were always closed. Yeah? Then one morning, the blossoms opened, and they were the most beautiful flowers in all of the garden. Even though they opened a little late, but they had a wonderful perfume. This is what I hope for all these young women who are still like children to adolescents, but that one day they will open up and open all of their female potential, and they will become beautiful flowers. and they will become wise. Okay?
informatissimi del loro diventare saggi.
Grazie.
Gabriella, non ti sentiamo.
Gabriella, sorry, but I think we can't hear you. Can you open your microphone, please? Okay, can you hear me now? Any more questions?
Sì, mi sentite?
Okay, I can see Manuela.
Altre domande ci sono?
I'd like to ask a question. Good evening, everyone. The word anima is considered as an abstract word, but it's not in reality. We all have it from when we are born. But can we hurt or damage our anima? How can we fix our anima? Not by pitying ourselves, for sure. But women often are not educated to not damage their anima, to not break their anima, to not suffer. We are educated instead to accept a broken anima.
E per me?
It's a question for me.
Allora, intanto la differenziazione
There is a difference
allora tra l'anima
between immortal anima, which is like our spiritual part, immortal, and the psychological anima and animus. These are psychological states that represent us. Yeah, they are different things. So to answer your question, often people don't understand our sensitivity and it breaks our heart. That part of us that has feelings and emotion, we should know that our heart has its own nervous system, its own emotional system, its own way of feeling things different from the brain. But it's so sensitive that when all is okay, they work together, the brain and heart, and with the same intensity. They are united together, they work together. But when they are not working together, sometimes we can do silly things. But when others don't understand our sensitivity or our anima, they really break our hearts. Because they don't understand our potential. So I think I can agree with you.
Altre domande?
Any more questions? Okay, good evening.
Altre domande?
I'm a little, my screen is off, okay? I wanted to ask, how can a woman recognize a man that is really worthy of her? Or is it that we are expecting too much from men? I hope my question is clear and not out of place. Yeah. Okay, in Bergamo, we had, I think, about 2 or 3 conferences. We were discussing about male identity, so as not to suffer too much from certain types of men. It took 2 or 3 evenings to discuss this, so it's difficult to answer all at once, but first of all, we must find the courage that when we meet someone and we are interested, we would try to get to learn to love this person without jumping in a relationship with eyes closed. Try to find if we have some things in common, like the same philosophy of life, for example. Or even if our interests are different, some things must be in common. And then when we know them well, we may decide that it's not the right person for us or type of person for us. And we must have the courage to close this experience. Yeah? Because we realize that this is not the person for us. We have another evening in which we will speak about the couple's relationship. I haven't prepared it yet, but I will try to maybe add some points to give an answer to this complex question. But we must know a person well before. Okay? And also have the courage to say, no, thank you. We cannot make each other happy. This makes us feel some suffering or grief when we understand and when we find the courage to understand that we are not good for each other. It's very general. This answer is very general. But on the 30th of October in the evening, the webinar will be about couples relationship. And I will add some points about this, about things that I was not considering discussing, but I will add some points. What I would like to say also is that we should not look in males for a reflection of our father, because we will look for things that make us suffer. So we must be careful not to do this. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for your contribution to the question and answers. The time for our question is finished now. But if you would like to have more answers to some other questions or doubts, we would like to invite you to send us an email. You will see in the chat our email, and or you can write the questions in the chat, and then we will ask our speakers to answer. Okay, we are almost at the end of our program, but we'll continue with another part of the program. But before we pass to the surprise, I would like to remind you, you can follow our activities through the Women's Federation website, Women's Federation for World Peace Italia. Also in the local chapters like of Bergamo and Padova. You can register in our organization, you can follow us on the web. So you can find more deeper questions in our local chapters and understand that together we can make a difference. If you'd like to receive our magazine Voices of Peace, at the end of this evening, we would like to ask you to let us have your address, your home address. So if you wish, we can send you other material, or we can send you the Voices of Peace. And to ask us to send any information to Nistri at Women's Federation for World Peace.it. I would like to also to remind people about some projects that we are working on. We are supporting a project, the Women's Federation for World Peace Europe, and we are trying to help families in Lebanon who suffered because of the explosion. There are lots of difficulties, and through our local activities, we are trying to help. And also many of our young members are trying to contribute to try in some way to resolve the problems that these people are facing. So please contact us. I spoke about the surprise, and so now the surprise. Okay, and this we will now watch a very brief film of about 3 minutes.
Mi scuso, ma pensavo di parlare dopo il filmato, se no se dico queste cose
Okay, I would like to speak at the end of the video. If not, it will not be a surprise. Okay, so now we can show the short film, short video. The wonder of the mandala of the Tibetan sands. In a journey to discover the meaning of their colors, their universe of colors. On the Himalayan peaks where peace reigns, there is an antique tradition that is passed from one generation to another. Monks call this practice mandala with colored sands. In the past, mandala were made with precious stones. Now they are made with sand or simple white stones that are powdered and mixed with colors. Every color has a specific meaning. Red is the color of courage and initiative. White means intuition and the divine. Yellow refers to intellect and wisdom. Black communicates to us the necessity for reflection. Light blue represents the power of our dreams and imagination. Green is the color of the earth that blossoms inside of us. Orange means joy and satisfaction. Purple, harmony between our creativity and the transcendent. Brown evokes the fertility of life. In Sanskrit, mandala means circle. In the Tibetan culture, this figure represents the universe. But every time someone designs and creates their own mandala, they represent their own internal universe. Through the colors and forms made by their own hands, and even if it takes many weeks to create one, the mandala are quickly undone in a few minutes. To remind us that in life we should never be too attached to material things. That's so beautiful. We saw the creation of a mandala. In Sanskrit, maybe you read mandala means a circle. In all of the mandala that you see, even you find in books, they always have an internal circle and an external circle. And in the middle you can find squares and other geometric forms. There are some mandalas that are really so beautiful with flowers. It's important that they have an internal circle and an external circle. Why? Because the circle is the geometric figure that represents the universe. And the internal circle represents our subconscious, our personality. So there's a very strong symbolic meaning. maybe people will feel bad that after weeks and weeks of hard work, suddenly a very beautiful thing is destroyed. Maybe we would have put it in a frame in our home and would have told everyone, okay, don't touch the mandala because if not you will ruin it. Yeah? But for them, in one moment, all it disappears. And then they make another. After lots of meditation, this is what the mandala says to us, yeah? That life is beautiful. From the beginning, when we make the circles, the squares, we create figures, we create. Usually we buy one, right? Because we don't know how to make one. But from the beginning, from the creation of this wonderful this wonderful way of creating something, this should make us think and meditate and understand that life is beautiful, but we must live it with the same intensity. And also death, we should live with the same intensity. We should not be afraid. But don't feel too bad, because the mandala we just saw was so beautiful. I think it would be beautiful if everyone should try to create their own mandala, because of its symbolic meaning, because it expresses our universe, it expresses us. And the forms that are inside creates order. It's like giving order to the world, giving order to our world that is sometimes so confused. Many times our world is so disorderly. It's like putting order inside of us. So it can be a way to meditate. It's an active meditation. Many people have tried to meditate, but sometimes they say, okay, I can't do it. I'm not able to because I think about a lot of things. I'm not able to relax. I think of too many things. Make a mandala, create a mandala. Take the colors. And with attention, I can sit there and color my mandala. Because it is my subconscious that makes me understand what colors I should take, what I should do, the forms I should make, what shall I put in the center. That would maybe be the last part, maybe. Yeah? When I've already meditated, and through experiencing these colors, when I'm experiencing the mandala itself. And we would have really done a meditation. And at some point, we will realize that the emptiness on a piece of paper or the emptiness doesn't worry us, because then on this empty page, we can create so many beautiful things, so many colors, and we can take care, we can heal our wounds. Yeah? Because this way we empty ourselves, because in an absolute silence and in solitude, absolute solitude, we create our mandala and we create our colors, and we would have learned the art of meditation. This is what I would like to ask you to do. Because slowly coloring your mandala, we have a psychological experience. We concentrate and we don't think, okay, we have to do this, I have to remember this. Yeah? Our emotional pain stops. Yeah? And in silence, we listen to ourselves. While we color, we listen to ourselves. And we are able to feel an internal music a music inside of us. We feel our music, the music of our heart, and it gives us serenity.
E se la sentiamo,
And if we can feel it
nel nostro
at the end of our mandala,
se la sentiamo,
we will feel order inside of us and harmony inside of us.
interiore,
Okay, so I would just like to pass the word back to Gabriella.
sta Gabriella.
Grazie.
Thank you very much.
Prima di chiudere,
Before closing
terminare il nostro incontro,
and end our meeting,
innanzitutto alle relatrici,
I would like to ask the speakers
chiederei anche innanzitutto alle
and who is taking care of the technical side to open your cameras, because we would like to see everyone on the screen and we would like to have a photo all together.
veramente piacere poter fare una foto tutti quanti insieme. Siete tutti belli.
You're all so beautiful. Thank you very much.
Spero che
I hope
problema chi è detto alle fotografie possa
who took the photo
che
can take the photo now.
fotografie possa
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank you. I would like to thank everyone, all the participants, also from other nations that connected with us. I'm sorry about the technical problems that didn't permit the translation to continue. Our translator, Lorna Russo. I'm sorry if you could not listen to all of it. We will send you a registration of this event. And we will also send to all of you who send your email address and would like to receive the Voices of Peace, and we would like to give you a certificate of participation of this event. In any case, you can check the chat again, because we've put some information that can be useful. Our email addresses, our website, the Women's Federation website in Italy, the Facebook page, so you can be connected. We also put our project for Lebanon to help the families there. We have started different projects, social projects, on a national, international level. You can find on our Facebook all the information of projects that we have done. I'd like to thank with all my heart our main speaker, Dr. Gibi, for this meeting. She will be with us for the next two webinars, and also our president of the Women's Federation for World Peace in Italy. And I'd like to thank her for her speech. I would also like to thank the Women's Federation for World Peace International that has supported us and supported our project, and also many other projects. I would also like to remind about the next appointment, which will be on the 9th of October, and the theme, it will be in the same context, the beautiful of the feminine world. It will be women and dignity. So we hope to see you again at the next meeting. So I'd like to remind you, if you have any questions, you can send it to us, and you will receive an answer. With this the registration of this webinar, we will also like to send you a mandala, so you can express through the colors of your soul what you experienced, your own experience. So you can color it if you like, and if you would like, you can share with us, and so we can share all together and share all of our emotions together. Thank you so much for everyone, for your patience, for all of your contribution, and I hope to see you at the next meeting. Thank you and have a nice week. Thank you so much. We'd like to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much for participating. We will leave the video open for a few minutes.
aperto qualche minuto il video.
I hope to see all of you in the next meeting on the 9th of October. And we hope that the next time the translation channel will function much better. I'm sorry, but we will find a way to resolve this problem. We will send you this video. Thank you, Lorna, for your hard work. Thank you. Goodbye.